Hey friends, this is Laura with Laura B. Flosstube. Welcome or welcome back. This is Flosstube episode 46. It is December 5th, 2023. I just want to share with you what I've been stitching on and what I've been sewing on. So this may not be very long, or it may be about the same length. We'll just see where it goes. So I know last time I showed you my progress on Prim Proper, which is a Lori Holt design. It's by It's So Emma is the publisher. It is so cute, and there's a quilt to match this. I don't believe I've made any progress on this, and I'll show you why in a moment. But I wanted to show this again just in case and just for, just kind of one of my last floss tubes of the year. This is kind of where I'm at with it. Definitely need to fill in those stars on the corners and do all of the little X's that go around the four sides of that main image. So it's super cute, super fun stitch. I used to keep track of all of my hours on my stitches, and I kind of got away from that this year. So I really don't know how long I've been stitching on this, like time-wise, but I really have enjoyed it, and it's really been very therapeutic, I guess is what I would say. So very, very happy with how this is turning out so far. This is on a 28 count wheat Lugana. I am stitching with most of the called for DMC. There are a few colors that I decided to switch up. So if you're interested in those, go back a few floss tubes, and I believe I shared that information. So again, that's Prim Proper by Lori Holt, and there is a quilt to match that design, so you might be seeing that this next year. All right, my other stitching project since we talked last time is the Durene Jones free Christmas stitch along. Now I am several weeks behind, and I am not stressing, and I am not trying to catch up. So I will show you my progress. It's kind of where I've been focusing my time the past 2 weeks. I have the inside borders done, all those boxes, and I'm working on this outer border. I've been trying to make a decision. I can't decide if I want to, let me see if I can, there we go. I can't decide if I want to continue stitching that outside border or if I want to jump in and do one of these boxes, because I believe we have the patterns for the first 4, if not 5, of these boxes, and I could easily do that and then between those stitches do more of this outside border. So I'm just trying to make a decision on that. I can't decide which one I feel would be more fun, I guess. But that's my progress on the Durene Jones Christmas stitch along. And so for this stitch, I am using a 28 count Lugana. It is just a white. And I am using my own threads. If you go back to the last floss tube, actually, I showed you, I just went through, looked at the colors I needed, and I just pulled out the anchor floss colors, and I put those in a little box inside the bag, and that's what I've been pulling from. I don't promise that I'm going to stick with those colors that I originally pulled. So far I have for the greens and reds, but once we get into the other colors for the stitch, I may be switching them up, and I've just kind of given myself the liberty to do whatever I want with this. But I'm super excited to get this started, and I can't wait to fill in those boxes. They're going to be so, so cute. So if you haven't been following along with her stitch along, she does have a Facebook group. All the patterns are free. She releases one every Friday, so you can go out there and download all of the free patterns and save those for you to stitch whenever you get around to it. All right, so believe it or not, that is all my stitching. That's a quick and dirty update on my cross stitch. I do have a couple pieces I need to get framed for Christmas. I have not even measured them. So I plan to get those pressed and measured so they can go to their forever homes. But for right now, that's kind of all I'm doing, is just stitching as I can. The last couple weeks have been super busy for my husband and I. We've had a lot of fun events with friends and family, and so I just haven't devoted as much time as I typically do to stitching. And I feel like I've been saying that for a couple months now, but that's life, right? You have to keep in balance your crafting and your family. So that's kind of what I've been doing the past couple months, really. So I will wrap up the cross stitch there if that's the only reason you're here. That was short and sweet, and I will see you next time. If you want to continue watching, I will show you the quilting side of my world. So for quilting, let me just go ahead and insert a block photo here. My mother-in-law and I went to one of our local quilt shops, Appletree Quilting, and she picked out the fabrics. I've told her, oh, I don't know, a couple months ago, I was like, you know, I feel like I want to make you guys a new quilt for your bed, and she was so excited. So we went and picked out fabrics, and she picked a really pretty sage green and cream color. She wants an Irish chain, which I told her, I was like, this is a really simple pattern. I feel like I should do something a little more involved for you. But that's what she wants. She likes a really simple look on her bed. And actually we went ahead and picked out a really pretty Tilda fabric for the back, which is also a sage green. And that way she can reverse the quilt to just a solid color if she would like. So that's what my big quilting project has been, because they have a king size bed. This quilt, once it's together, finishes at 117 by 109, I believe. So a fairly large quilt. And I hope to get that quilted over my Christmas break, and then they can have it before the new year begins if I get the binding done. So stay tuned for finished pictures of that quilt. And in the meantime, you can watch and see what else I'm doing. So hopefully you have at least browsed shortly on the Bloom quilt stitch along that I've been doing. This is an older pattern by Lori Holt. In fact, I think it was her first applique quilt that she did with Riley Blake. It is simple, So Simple Shapes set A. So this has been a lot of fun, and I will have to tell you, I have been devoting a lot of time to it every week, just getting the blocks done and videoing the progress, sharing some tips and tricks, and then getting those posted. I have been trying to post those videos on Thursdays, so if you are following that series, just watch for those videos to appear at some point on Thursday. The goal is to have those appear around 8 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time, but sometimes I'm a little later in the day just depending on how my week has gone. So I'm going to flip you around so you can see my progress on the Bloom quilt stitch along, and you're going to get a sneak peek at blocks 9 and 10. Okay, so here is my progress on the Bloom quilt stitch along. It's blocks 1 through 10 are on the design board. You can see that rows 1 and 2 are together. I have gone ahead and put all the sashing around the blocks, and then I've also added on to each row. So I have my top inner and my side inner borders completed as I go along with the rows. So when I get block 11 and 12 done, I'll go ahead and put row 3 together, including that inner border, which is like the second row of blocks out from those blocks on the sides. And I'll have 3 of the 5 rows. There are 20 blocks in this quilt, so I still have quite a few blocks to go before this is done. I'm hoping to wrap up in the mid to late January, right before her new stitch along comes along, which is Mercantile. Now that quilt is not applique. It is actually pieced blocks with a little bit of applique, because you do have the circles that you put those pieced blocks onto before attaching them to your quilt top. So, but again, this is Bloom by Lori Holt. It's So Simple Shapes set A. You can still get those. Just Google search and you'll be able to find that set of So Simple Shapes. In addition to Bloom, I actually bought a kit from Appletree Quilting last spring, I believe. There was a Kansas City group that did a quilt show, and the Appletree Quilting Center, they had a booth at the quilt show, and they had quilt kits. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love the fabric, I love the pattern. So I had purchased a Fig Tree and Company's pattern called Cartwheels. And like I said, it was a kit, so it came with basically all of the fabric that I need. So I just decided a few weeks ago, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get this out and start sorting and figure out what's what. So I do have my project keeper, and if you've watched these before, you'll know that I like using these. I think they're like 13 by 13 project keepers. I get mine at Michael's or Joann's. You can definitely find them online, but they're pretty easy to get, and you'll find them like in the storage area, or you might find them in the scrapbook area, because originally I used these for my different types of scrapbook paper, and they worked really good because scrapbook paper is 12 by 12, and these are a little bigger than 12 by 12 on the inside, but they also work great for my quilts. So when I start a new quilt project, I usually put all my fabrics into one, and then when I get my pieces cut and everything, I keep them all in one place, and that way I can get that one box out to work on the quilt and kind of keep myself organized in that way. So So the only thing I've done for this is went through and matched up what fabrics are for what. I do hope to grab that box and start that project over winter break. I do have a lot of other little quilty projects that I want to get done, but we'll just see how it goes, and just trying to just do what I enjoy. And that's kind of my new motto, I guess, for life right now. Just do what I enjoy and not what I don't. So yeah, so that's kind of where I've been focusing my time. Like I said, I finished the quilt for my in-laws. Well, the quilt top is actually together for my in-laws, but I need to get that quilted. I do have one other quilt in my closet that needs to be quilted, my hometown quilt, which was also a Lori Holt design. And then I do quilts for the Easter baskets with Angel Wings Clothing Closet in Mexico, Missouri. They do an Easter event every year where they put a quilt into each basket that they give out to a child that's in foster care that comes to their event. And so I had told them this year that I would try to get 100 quilts together for them. Not just me personally, but it's kind of a collective effort between the guild I belong to here in Columbia, Missouri, and my personal family. My brother and my cousin are both avid quilters, and they have helped immensely the past 2 or 3 years that we've done this. It's been so rewarding and so fulfilling. I don't believe I'm going to try to hit that goal of 100 quilts again next year because it's just become a little too much. But I do plan on staying involved at some level and providing some quilts for that program. So I have some fabric set aside for more quilts for that. And then I also went through a huge tote of scraps that my brother had given me and cut out a ton of 5-inch squares, and plan on just doing some really easy, like kind of checkerboard designs with those 5-inch squares. So that is my quilting updates. So that's all the crafty stuff I have to tell you about. Let's see, life update. I am almost finished with my first semester of a master's program at the University of Missouri here in Columbia, Missouri. I am super excited to have the first semester almost behind me. I'm still questioning on a weekly basis whether or not I'm insane for doing this, but it's going along and time's going to pass anyway, so I might as well be working towards something, I guess. So yeah, but so far it's going really well. I enjoyed the classes this semester. I am signed up for classes next semester. So looking forward to that, I guess, as well. We have some fun events coming up, just my husband and I, that we are going to be going to. We have just started loving going to just live music. And we attended a live music event this past weekend in Jefferson City, Missouri. Mike Zito performed. He's like a blues singer. So it was really neat. It was at the Capitol Bluffs Event Center, and we really enjoyed our time. It was a really nice dinner, actually, which sometimes, you know, when you buy tickets for dinner and a show, sometimes you're kind of disappointed with the dinner part. But dinner was really good, and the show was phenomenal. We had a great time. And we have tickets for probably 3 or 4 more events over the next couple months. So looking forward to all of that, just spending some time with my husband and just enjoying listening to some live music. We don't really have too many crazy holiday plans, I guess. We're planning on trying to get out of town a couple times just for a night or two. But other than that, nothing too crazy before the next semester starts next spring for me. So anyway, that is kind of all I have for today. This is going to be, like I said, short and sweet. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for sharing out my videos. I am over 4,000 subscribers now, which is crazy in my mind. But thank you so much for helping me reach that goal as well. Again, thanks for tuning in. If we don't speak before the holidays, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I will plan on doing another Flosstube in 2 weeks, which would be the 19th, I guess. So I will see you then. And until next time, happy stitching. Oh, and don't forget to follow along with the Bloom Quilt Sew Along. I'm posting those videos once a week on Thursdays, so stay tuned for that. And you can find a playlist that has all of those videos so you can watch from the very beginning. And I've been trying to put in chapters so you can like skip to the pieces of the process that you want to watch. So make sure you tune into those if you're interested in that quilt. And again, I'll see you next time. So happy stitching.